Our immune system defends us against illnesses, but how does it work? What distinguishes acute from chronic inflammation, and which foods boost immunity? Well, for more, I'm joined by Kate Save, dietitian coming to us from Be Fit Food. Kate, let's start with how it works. Take us through a little bit about this.
Our immune system is so complicated actually, and it's been oversimplified for years. There are so many different components to it. Our first line of defence is actually organs in our body. So we've got things like the mucus in our airways that defends things. We've got our lungs as a defence system. We've got our skin as a barrier. So this is the first line of defence, and they call this our innate immunity. So we've got our white blood cells, we've got our bone marrow, our thymus, our spleen. There's so many different components, and that is something that I think a lot of us forget, that it's not just one single thing.
It's a system of things. As usual, these things are more complicated than I initially thought. But what's the difference between acute inflammation and, of course, chronic inflammation? What are we sort of seeing there?
Yeah, most people understand acute inflammation. It's when you get a cut or a splinter or whatever it might be, and that's when the immune system pops up and it actually really defends us against the infection that might come. And that little bit of inflammation, that pain, that swelling, maybe even pus, those sorts of things we're familiar with. But chronic inflammation, on the other hand, is silent, and that can take a long time to arise, and it actually comes from poor lifestyle choices, not sleeping well, not eating well, not exercising, and our body just not being able to really recover from that.
Giving it a chance to actually, reboot, if you will. So what foods can we look to boosting immunity if we're stepping outside of, the lifestyle choices we can make? Food's generally a good one to start with, right? Yeah,
having a really whole food diet as usual is important, but actually thinking more about the phytochemicals, the nutrients in these foods. So firstly, we need enough protein, because protein is essential to actually build cells. Secondly, we need some healthy fats, because those healthy fats are important in the layers of the cell,
avocado,
on the outer
right?
membrane. Absolutely, and olive oils. And then next, all of the different plant-based foods, whether we've got our prebiotic foods, that could be the vegetables such as your cruciferous, your artichokes, your onions, garlic, ginger, those sorts of things.
I love that word, cruciferous. That's broccoli for those playing at home, things like that.
Broccoli, cauliflower, absolutely. And then even herbs and spices play a role, like turmeric is really well known as being anti-inflammatory. And then probiotic foods, things like fermented foods like kimchi, sauerkraut. Kimchi, for example, is cruciferous because it's the cabbage, and then it's got the spices in it that are warming and good for us as well, and the bacteria.
Absolutely. We went through a phase, actually. We had a little unit that made kimchi, and it was a bit of fun. But what is the connection between gut health and immunity? I feel like every time we talk about the gut, I'm learning something new about its profound effect on the rest of my body.
Well, you're going to love this then. So 70% of our immune system is actually within our gut. So if our gut is unhealthy, there's a very good chance our immune system isn't operating properly. So that gut wall is only one cell lining thick. So if we get disruption to that gut wall, then we're actually letting things out of the gastrointestinal tract, which could be bacteria that are meant to be locked inside, and they're going out into the bloodstream, causing havoc really, and really causing that chronic inflammation in the body. And maybe this is a reason why we're seeing an increase in autoimmune conditions.
Well, just on that, why is there that rise in autoimmune conditions we're seeing? And I guess what's the role of the immune system, more broadly speaking, in relation to that?
Well, they're starting to say that perhaps 3 to 12% increases in these autoimmune conditions are happening every single year now. So that increasing incidence is huge. And when we look over decades, it's unbelievable how quickly these autoimmune conditions are creeping up. And when I'm talking about autoimmune conditions, there's lots of different things. It could be type 1 diabetes, it could be multiple sclerosis, it could be psoriasis, it could be arthritis. There's lots of conditions here. There's actually over 100 different autoimmune conditions. So if we don't have a healthy gut, which really stems from not having a healthy lifestyle, too much processed food, not sleeping well, and certainly not exercising enough, then we get this breakdown of the microbiome or the wrong bacteria in there or not enough of the right bacteria, and we can't defend ourselves. We actually just break down the structure of that immune system, and we end up in this state of more autoimmune conditions and perhaps even allergies that we haven't seen at such high levels before.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting. I think I remember the discussion around peanut allergies and things in children, and the sanitising we've been doing over the last few years with COVID, and it's all very interesting, and I always feel healthier for speaking to you, Kate, but I also feel I have to reflect on my choices from the week before. But I want to thank you for joining us on the program, as always, bringing us a bit of health and well-being to the program.
My pleasure.